This is the Whole Care Network. Helping you tell your story one podcast at a time. Content presented in the following podcast is for information purposes only. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guest and may not represent the views and opinions of the Whole Care Network. Always consult with your physician for any medical advice, and always consult with your attorney for any legal advice. And thank you for listening to the Whole Care Network.
I think it's just part of your makeup, this whole caregiving. It's like a gene, And I think that once you've been through it, I think you take that energy and you want to keep working with it.
Caring for aging parents or other loved ones while working, raising children, and trying to live your own life? Wondering how to find the time for your personal health and happiness? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Happy Healthy Caregiver podcast, the show where real family caregivers share how to be happy and healthy while caring for others. Now, here's your host, family caregiver, and certified caregiving consultant, Elizabeth Miller.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the Happy Healthy Caregiver podcast, which is part of the Whole Care Network. If this is your first time listening, welcome. This is a show produced bi-weekly to help family caregivers integrate self-care and caregiving into their lives. Each of our episodes has an accompanying show notes page, so if you want more details about all the stuff that we're going to be talking about, you can head over to happyhealthycaregiver.com, go to the podcast menu, and then click the image or the episode number for today's show. We're also going to put that link in your podcast platform's episode description so you can easily navigate to the resources that can help you. If you're not on the email list for Happy Healthy Caregiver, you are missing out. Every Tuesday, I send out a weekly roundup, which includes tips under the pillars of happy, healthy, and caregiving. Plus, I share upcoming events and offers and other information. You can find that and subscribe at bit.ly/HHC eNews. If you haven't heard about the cruise yet, I don't know where you've been. We've got a Self-Care at Sea cruise happening in October of 2025, and we are booking up the rooms and we want you to be on it. We are planning for respite care for family caregivers, giving you a payment plan so that you have time to prepare and arrange that backup care. We want you to come for the respite and leave with a community of caregivers and resources that can help you when you return back home. Learn more at bit.ly/HHC Self-Care Cruise. By the way, we're always looking for sponsors for the cruise. It's a great way to advertise your brand, your product, and your service. So ask me about the sponsor options that we have available. I'd like to thank our episode sponsor, Rare Patient Voice. Do you want to earn cash in exchange for your opinion? Rare Patient Voice, or RPV, helps connect researchers with patients and family caregivers for over 700 diseases and conditions. For patients and caregivers, RPV provides the opportunity to voice their opinions to improve medical products and services while earning cash rewards. Rare Patient Voice, helping patients and caregivers share their voices. If you're interested, join the RPV panel at rarepatientvoice.com/Happy Healthy Caregiver. My romance book streak is continuing, and I have two new ones in a 2-book series to recommend. I listened to this series by Christina Lauren, and it's the DNA Duo series is what she calls it. Book 1 is called The Soulmate Equation, and Book 2 is The True Love Experiment. Book 1 is kind of a twist on what a dating app using DNA could look like. Of course, you're going to meet all the characters and stuff in Book 1, and then Book 2 is about finding your mate kind of through that like Bachelorette sort of type of TV series, but you're going to be hoping that things don't go as planned. Both of these books I gave 4 out of 5 stars. They're perfect escape reads. If this is your thing, I hope you enjoyed them too. I will link to them in the show notes. Favorite thing that I want to share for you in this episode is a little thing that fits in the palm of my hand. It's a portable white noise machine that is chargeable. And I don't use it every night. It's situational for me, but you could use it every night. It's noise canceling. I particularly like it in a sleep situation. You could use it in other situations as well. The one that I use has 3 different natural sound settings. It's great for sleeping in a room with other people, like if you're sharing it on a weekend away somewhere and you worry about you snoring or other people snoring. For a hospital setting, it could drown out a lot of those noises, or other strange places where you're not used to sleeping, or if you just have difficulty falling asleep, to get your mind to settle. And I will link to that in the show notes if that's something that you could find useful for you. Let's meet today's caregiver in the spotlight. Heather Henderson is what I'm calling a Boomerang family caregiver, since she has moved in with her mom to be her primary caregiver at various times in her life. Heather initially became a primary caregiver overnight in 2003 when her parents were in a fatal car accident. Her dad didn't survive and her mom was seriously injured. She moved home to care for mom until she was fully recovered. Then 15 years later, Heather became her mom's primary caregiver again, moved back in with her while working 2 jobs. In this episode of the podcast, we discussed the joint joys that she and her mom shared, how volunteering and cat videos have helped Heather heal since caring for her mom has ended, how her clean skincare business got started, and how fitness classes in all the phases of her life have kept her grounded and connected to others. Enjoy the show. Welcome, Heather, to the Happy Healthy Caregiver podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Elizabeth. I really appreciate it.
I'm excited to have you. And for those who were watching the video, we get to see Orion in the background, hanging out in the sun. Definitely, we can take some self-care strategies from our pets. They really show us how to do things right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know what? He's always with me whenever I'm working. He's with me, and he does show me sometimes I need to take a minute and just stretch a little bit.
Yeah. Or they'll come nudge you. Like my dogs will be like, hello, we're here. Do you see us? Pay attention to me. Love me. All of that. Well, perfect. I like to kick off the show with some words of encouragement, inspiration from the Happy Healthy Caregiver jar, Heather. So let's see what we've got here today for your episode.
Okay.
Okay. It says, there's a reason the rear view mirror is small and the windshield is so big. Where you're headed is much more important than what you've left behind.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I love a visual reminder of like the past is hard and traumatic in many ways. And yet we've got a lot to look forward to in the future.
Yes.
Well, let's get into your caregiving story, Heather. Like you did have an abrupt and traumatic start to caregiving. Tell us a little bit about what happened in your own words in 2003 that really said, you are a caregiver, Heather.
Yeah, in 2003, my parents were in a really bad car accident. And unfortunately, my dad did not survive. My mom was very badly injured. And, you get that phone call from the hospital saying, hey, we need you to come down as quickly as you can, and the hospital was an hour away. So I gathered my brother and sister and we all got down to the hospital. And from that moment, I was a caregiver, all of a sudden I felt the pressure of caring for my family because my dad was really the person, he was the center. And to have him taken so quickly, it was such a shock. But then to have to deal with our mom being in the hospital, planning a funeral, getting her from the hospital to the rehab, and then getting her out of rehab and getting her home. So that was a big shock. At the time, I had moved from Manhattan. I had left finance and I was working as a teacher actually at a Catholic school in New Jersey. And so I was able to move back home to my mom's house. We set up a room downstairs for her and just really, from having to learn how to walk, to feed herself, because she had broken so many bones. So it was really a process. And you think that, okay, 6 months later, because it happened in June, by Christmas, you would think she was, perfectly healthy again. But there were moments like making Christmas cookies where she didn't have the strength in her hands to mix the dough. That was kind of an eye opener.
Yeah.
But I will say that my mom was my hero because she lost the love of her life in an instant. They were married 44 years, and she really, wanted to get back up and keep going. And she met Arnie, who was a rocket scientist, and then they got married and had 10 years together. And then she was his caregiver for the last couple of years of his life, which was 8 years ago. And then 5 years ago, or for 5 years, I was her caregiver.
Mhm.
Because after Arnie passed, she kind of lost her way because she liked taking care of someone. And we kind of felt like she was down in Florida. I was up in New Jersey, my sister in New Jersey, and my brother too. And we all kind of felt like we didn't want her to be alone because she was starting to get a little forgetful. She was a diabetic and could have really low blood sugars that happened very quickly. So we really, even though we got her, the life alert thing in case she fell, we just didn't think she should be by herself.
Mm.
So I was lucky enough to do my first snowbirding year of going down to Florida to spend the winter months with her. And then we came back up to New Jersey for the summer. And then I think COVID happened.
Okay.
She was really kind of feeling like she didn't want to be far away because she kept feeling like she didn't know how long she had, kind of thing. She felt like she couldn't see very well. She would fall. She couldn't hear very well. So she wanted to be close to her family. And then COVID happened. So then we were really happy that we were all together,
Yeah.
And I will say, for me, the one thing with COVID, even though I had been taking care of my mom, I was still running around. I was going back and forth to New York. I was getting my nails done. I was going to the gym. I was doing things. I was going places. I was having dinner with friends. And with COVID, it really made me stop and slow down. And so we had some really beautiful times having coffee in the morning. Um, dinner at night, watching the Yankees because it needed to be something that it was easy for her to follow. Um, so there were really beautiful moments that we wouldn't have had if I was running all the time. But one interesting thing, I have always been a person to work out early in the morning. I get to the gym at 6 a.m. and I work with a bunch of people. It's personal training, but it's a group. So you get to know people and you have really good friendships. And so even during COVID, they had to stop for a brief period, but then they opened the gym so that first we were outside. They would do little pods with equipment. So we were still getting that community, which I think is so important, but you still had your workout. You still were able to do that. Then we moved inside in the gym and we had our little pods. And then at one point we had to wear masks, and that was a little tough. But you know what? We were together, we got to work out, and it was great. And we were helping our friend who had his business because we also wanted to help him, sustain his business. Um, and then really just at the end, when I felt like my mom couldn't be alone, that's when I stopped going to the gym. But then I did yoga online.
Yeah. Well, listen, caregivers are so creative, but there's so much in what you said. First of all, like, the traumatic initiation to caregiving with your dad passing away. And, when you're telling your story, I see the compassion and the empathy that you had for your mom. And yet you are also in this situation where all of these things happen to you as well. So to grieve the loss of your dad while also trying to navigate care for your mom, which, my dad didn't pass in a car accident, but it was like a sudden decline at the end for him. And I can relate to that. Like, I don't know about you, Heather, but I look back and I'm like, how did we get through that?
You know what? You you just keep going. You
Yeah.
know, you're just taking it every day, one day at a time, because if you try to look too far in the future, it's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
So you can really only take it in small bites. And that's why it's super important to do things for yourself, to make sure that you're getting the little bit of care that you need, um, like going to the gym or taking a walk or being in nature or having a good cup of coffee, you
Yes.
know.
And I miss the coffee chats with mom. You mentioned that, like, it's the little rituals of the things that I miss the most, and I also feel, I don't know if you feel this way, Heather, but had this not happened, had these um situations not happen where we cared, maybe we wouldn't have spent as much time with them.
That's it. I do feel like there's a path and a plan, and you have to navigate it. I feel so fortunate that I was able to spend so much time with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the last couple of months of her life, we were trying very hard to get hospice care because we felt like she needed that care. We were doing it at home. This was post-COVID. We were doing it at home, but trying to get her into hospice was such a challenge. We had to fight people. And it was only the second time that she was in the hospital that we finally got people to say, okay, yes, she's ready for hospice.
Yeah, you need a professional to kind of initiate it, and which can be so frustrating. And yet it is a way for caregivers to get more help and support, and to help centralize the care, the management of it. Because I was just having this conversation actually in a daughterhood circle that I lead. We were talking about hospice because I feel like there's so much education around it where people have this belief that it's, right at the end of life. And yet there are many situations where people are on hospice for years. You do have to get reevaluated. There
Right,
is something that this is not curable, that they're, want to be, you're no longer trying to like do things to prolong their life, but to
right.
make them comfortable. But all the supplies, the nurse, the
Well, see, that's it.
bathing.
It's the medication and all that kind of stuff. So interestingly enough, after my mom passed, I started volunteering at this hospice. And I feel like it really helped me with my grief because I feel like the love that I was giving to my mom, I can now give to the people in hospice. And I find it beautiful. There are some people that are there for a long period of time. There are some people that are there for a very short period of time. There are moments that you run into a family member who just really needs to talk, and because you've been through it, you can really empathize. I'm sorry, I can't
Yeah,
speak.
empathize.
Empathize,
Yeah.
and you know what they're going through, and when they can talk to somebody who's been through it, I think it's really helpful.
What do you think it is about this caregiving experience where we're like, we go through it and we feel this like urge to pay it forward and help somebody else?
I think part of it is, I think it's just part of your makeup, this whole caregiving, it's like a gene, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that um, once you've been through it, um, I think you take that energy and you want to keep working with it. Um, I I really think that it has helped me more than I help other people. I really feel that I get so much out of it. So one thing that we do at hospice, I started cookie night. We have this amazing woman and her son for many years did ice cream Sunday, Tuesdays. And so they go around with ice cream. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a warm cookie? So I talked to the chef, and unfortunately, I thought I could make the cookies at home. We actually make the cookies, we bake them off in the hospice so that when we come around, we have a nice hot cookie, a warm cookie. And not every patient can have it, but their family members can, or
Mhm.
the staff. And so everyone really looks forward to this warm cookie. We have milk if they want it, or water. And it's such a simple thing, but it's such a beautiful thing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my dad was in the hospice. We've had different situations of hospice, but his was a quick kind of week. It was a quick to kind of decline. And we had a big end of life celebration while he was still living. And the hospice workers, in fact, interestingly, like one of them was named Sunny, like I still remember. And
Oh,
I know we're going to get into that conversation, but like just I can see him. I can see this volunteer. So you just, you don't know the impact that maybe you do, the impact that you're making in families' lives. But we had wine, we had cake, we had, we told stories, and we had FaceTimed family members in there. So, and they had made the comments like, we wish other people would, do this. So it's not this like somber, I mean, there's different types of hospice, right? Home hospice, a hospice community center. It sounds like what is the name of your hospice? We'll be
it's
sure to tag.
Center for Hope Hospice.
Center for Hope. In where is this place?
It's in Scotch Plains, New Jersey, and they
Nice.
also have a facility in Elizabeth, New Jersey.
Nice. Yes. So yeah, a lot of like myths, I think, with hospice. And I also have a great resource that I'll put in the show notes too, where someone they offer a complimentary hospice navigator call. So if you're confused about it and just kind of want to like no judgment talk to somebody, Helen Bauer, who's been on the show before, offers that to caregivers to be able to just kind of talk to them. I don't know what to call you exactly, Heather, but I feel like a boomerang caregiver. Like you have been like a care, and then you've gone and come back and done some things on your own, and then here you are, caring again, and potentially there will be future scenarios, if we have siblings and family members.
Exactly, exactly. I don't know what it is. I really do believe it's this path that you're on. And I do the caregiving when it's needed, and then I can kind of go back to my own thing and then, you know, step back in where it's needed. So I think it's so much a part of me
Yeah,
that I can't imagine not doing it.
it's in your DNA. Yeah. How have you been able to like financially sustain some of these big waves of care?
I'm lucky that I worked in finance for a long time. That's where I spent the bulk of my career. So I was able to put money away. Um, I'm living in the house that I grew up in, so that was paid for. I don't have to pay for anything except utilities and taxes.
Nice.
So I've been very fortunate that way. I laugh because I say the only place I actually made money was when I worked in finance. Everything else, and I've done a million different jobs, but everything else I haven't made any money.
It's relatable. And I know that you had shared a story with me, like when you were caring for your mom, that reminded me of an activity of a workshop I do. We do something called a joint joy list, where you make a list of the things that bring you joy as a caregiver, and then the care recipient and working with them, the things that joy, and then where you overlap are like these joint
Right.
joys. Yeah. And you shared something with me of ways that you and your mom kind of did this type of stuff. What were some of your joint joys that you had with your mom?
Well, one thing that really stands out, we love to watch the birds and the squirrels and all the little animals. So even from the beginning, I mean, we used to have skunks that we used to walk through the yard, and we would just get up and look and watch them walk through the yard.
They're adorable. As long as they're not spraying you, they're
Yeah,
great.
exactly.
Yeah.
But we used to do this thing that every afternoon we would feed the birds and that they would wait for us, the birds, the squirrels, the chipmunks. We've had deer come in the yard.
Beautiful.
So it was really nice to just go out and feed them and then sit back in the what we call the great room, which is a really big sunny room, and just watch them come and feed and to see all the different birds. I love the outdoors. I think it's something that I really need. I always have the windows open. I like to walk in the backyard in my bare feet just to feel the grass. I'm an early morning person, so my mom was also an early morning person. So we would, mid-morning have our little coffee break. We just spent a
Precious.
lot of time together.
Yeah, I'm with you on the outdoor stuff. I wish we could keep our windows open. I live in it outside of Atlanta. It's too hot or something and my two of the people in my family have allergies. So we
Oh,
live in a closed window house, but we have a fabulous screened in porch, and I'm sure to utilize that and to get outside that way. But I figured that out very quickly, how much energy I get from being outdoors in nature. So beautiful. And you've had a kind of a care team too with your mom too. Talk about like what your care team has looked like.
With my sister,
Yeah.
yes. So I am super fortunate to have a twin sister, and we're very, very close. And my brother, who I work for, he's a veterinarian. I work for him, but a lot of times he couldn't come and care because he was working.
Sure.
He owns the business. So, but my sister is my best friend, and um, my total teammate. When I was going back to work for my brother and I had to be in the office, my sister would come and watch over my mom and make sure, her sugar was stable and that kind of thing. So the last week when my mom was home, my sister and my brother-in-law were just with me almost around the clock. And what we were doing was, because we were doing hospice at home, we would do a schedule of when she needed to get her medications, and it was funny because the one night my brother-in-law was going to take a shift by himself. I stayed up later so he wouldn't be by himself, and then my sister got up earlier so he wouldn't be by himself. So, we're just a very close family, and that support, I think I am very, very grateful to the support that I had.
I totally understand. And, I meet solo caregivers all the time, and they've got to be extra creative to figure out how they can find their family. They're like friends that can be like family, neighbors, cousins, aunts, uncles, people in the community. But family is definitely a big source of help for many of us. Sometimes they're not a lot of help, and that can be frustrating too. And I think, you talk about your mom being diabetic, and I can relate to that. My mom was diabetic, and one of the challenges we had was just trying to get to have people come and care for her, so that, she lived in assisted living near me for a while, but then lived with my sister in rural Michigan.
Right.
And, home care wasn't really a fit for that because they could not give her insulin medication, and she needed that like every meal time and then at nighttime. So it was so frustrating to not be able to leave and hire in professional help. So you're really relying on friends and family in that case for respite.
Well, I also think that's absolutely true. And I also think it's hard to find caregivers. I think it's hard to find paid caregivers.
Yeah.
I see even at the hospice that it's hard to get nurses in, it's hard to get aides in, and I think that's something that's going to increase as we all age, because we're going to have a huge older population, and there are going to be fewer people there to care
We're
for.
already there. Yeah. I mean, there's already 12,000 baby boomers turning 65. Now, that doesn't mean that's synonymous with disease, but we're outnumbered.
Right.
And care workers, are underpaid, and there's lots of turnover there. And so it's a really difficult situation and then that's where this unpaid, invisible labor of what we're doing as family caregivers comes into play. And not everybody has the financial situation that you had and that we had in our family. Like, it's a huge strain for families to be able to do that during this phase. Heather, like, how you talked about, maybe it was because you were in this boomerang phases of care that you had like some self-care habits form, but how did you self-talk? How did you try to kind of keep some of those habits going when you were like deep in the throes of caregiving, or did you have to switch things up a little bit?
I think for me, I've been working out for so long that it's just a part of my routine. So I found the time. It has to be early in the morning, because if it's not early in the morning, then my day starts and I've got things going on. I get interrupted. I was never the kind of person who could come home from work and then go back out and go to the gym. Once I sit down, that's it. I'm done. But I know that about myself. So I know that what's important to me is to get my butt out of bed, even when it's dark and I don't feel like it, to get out of bed and get to the gym. That's super important to me. I also think for us, cooking is very important. When I grew up, we were always in the kitchen with my mom. She would be cooking. My sister and I would be sitting with her, talking with her. So being in the kitchen is a big deal. Having my family close is great because we get together for meals. And, I think that's super important. Um, Other habits, I don't know. I think I was just kind of in a routine. But I will tell you certain things, my faith is very strong. And so that really helped me through a lot of things. When my mom would take a nap, I would pray the rosary. So that was kind of my way. It was a little bit meditative. For me, I find it very intimate when I'm doing the rosary.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people do it at church and they do it in big groups. I like to do it just by myself. It's a very intimate experience and it's very meditative. It would give me time to rest. But when you have a loved one, it's like a child. You're always listening. Are they getting up? Are they doing something? Do I need to run and check on them? So I do think that the time I spent doing the rosary really helped me.
Yeah.
I will say after my mom passed, I kind of got out of that habit and I'm getting back into that now. And
Yeah.
I
I think
I
it's
really,
normal.
yeah,
Normal for like some practices that we need in certain times to be different. The rosary is and we have that in common. I was raised Catholic, and I have some fabulous rosaries that have been passed down from some of my elders in my family, and it's a good form of like spiritual self-care and also emotional self-care, because it really, you have to be in the present, and like you said, you don't have to it's very meditative. You don't have to think about what you're going to do. I'm going to put a link on how people can learn to pray the rosary if they're like, I have no idea how to do this. We can certainly do that. But when you're talking about how that habit was good for you while caregiving, same for me with journaling, which is why I wrote that journal, because journaling was a big part of my life. Like I had to kind of sit and process everything that was going on and park it out of my head, and just, sometimes the tears would stream down my face, but just writing things out really was super healing for me. And I don't do a lot of journaling anymore. I've kind of evolved into different self-care practices, and I may go back and revisit that one, or maybe it takes on a different look and I'll do
right,
some art journaling or things like that. But I think it's important to kind of have this toolbox of self-care tools that work for you in certain situations, so that you can go in and kind of pick out what you need when you need it.
right, right.
And you've got some great ones there. And I want to talk about your your business that you have, the Chance of Sunny. You're the founder of Chance of Sunny, a personal care brand that uses plant-based ingredients and essential oils to calm and soothe the mind and body. It sounds like something definitely caregivers could use, but how did this come about for you?
It's funny that you talked about me being a boomerang caregiver because there was one little window of opportunity that I could take classes to learn how to make these products.
Okay.
So originally I was in the shower, I was looking at my shower gel, and I realized there was not one ingredient that I could pronounce. And I thought, what am I putting on my body? One of the things I always hated was when you found a scent that you really liked, and then the company either discontinued it or they changed it and it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what? I'm going to make my own. I
Like
don't,
Bath and Body Works is really, and they probably
let's
got
do
a
it.
lot of the
Let's do
ingredients that
it.
we don't know what's in it, and then we get it attached to some scent and they move on. So yeah.
That's exactly what I was using. So I decided I was going to go to school for aromatherapy.
Hmm.
I didn't realize that aromatherapy and natural perfumery were two totally different things. But I fell in love with the healing properties of aromatherapy. I learned so much about plants and essential oils and what they do and how they help you, and how there are many oils that have the same healing properties, but scent is so subjective.
Hmm.
You may love a scent that I don't like, or I may love something and you don't like it, but they are both healing. So from there, I found Amy Galper, who had a school in New York. And I spent a couple of weeks learning how to make lotions and creams and oils and all these beautiful products. And then I spent a couple of years making them and handing them out to friends and family
Nice.
to see what they liked on their skin. It's really cute because my mom was part of the process. I would be making things in my kitchen, and then she would be doing my dishes, and then she would try all the products, which was really
Nice.
cute. And I would get her opinion. What did she like? What didn't she like? So she's definitely a part of it. But it's been a process, it's been a couple of years. I work for my brother who's a veterinarian. So I really created these products for people that work in the veterinary industry because they give so much. Um, they're a little introverted. So this is a good way to give them something that is nice for their skin. Um, and so it's kind of just more from there. I mean, I had some great products that I thought were amazing, but when I gave them out to people, they're like, not so much. I had a lip scrub that I thought was awesome, and people are like, yeah, no, thank you.
Well, I mean, good to have those people in your life who will tell you their honest opinion about stuff. And I've tried your products, and I've tried some of the lavender ones. First of all, I have one here. It's called Chance of Sunny is your branding. I don't know if people can see that. And this is the head to toe oil that still has a long way to go because I've used all of the cream and I have the citrus one. But what I love about this oil is my husband has this weird pet peeve of he hates dry elbows.
Oh,
And I like at night is kind of when I want to put this lavender oil on, but then I thought, oh, I'll get it all over my fingers. And then what if I touch my book and my stuff? So I have found this system where I put it on my palm or the back of my hand, and then I rub my elbow, and I do that on each side. And so the tops of my hands are soft, the elbows are soft, and I can smell the lavender. So that's been my new little ritual.
oh, nice. Well, one nice thing to do is when you're coming out of the shower and your skin is damp,
Yeah.
if you have time, I like to do a shower at night. And then I like to mix the oil and the lotion together, but you can also just do the oil or the lotion. And I like to just put it on and then sit,
Okay.
be in my pajamas and just kind of hang out and relax and let it all absorb in. I did pick oils that are fast absorbing, but it's not going to absorb instantaneously. You do need to give yourself a few minutes
Sure.
to just let it absorb. But it keeps your skin super soft and again, natural ingredients. Um, but it's great because it's really good for sensitive skin, either the lavender or the fragrance free. And we find that some people don't like scent at all. But
Mm.
the idea of using essential oils is that it really is calming and soothing. So if you can just inhale it, you can get that moment of just, relaxation.
Yeah.
Lavender is really well known for being a nervine oil, which means that when it hits your central nervous system, you really do get that rest and digest moment.
Nice. Yeah, aromatherapy, like when I was caregiving, and blogging and putting social posts and trying to be held accountable for my self-care practices, I would try on a lot of different things, like people try on clothes. And aromatherapy was one of my paths that I took. I got a diffuser, I had a lot of different oils. I was experimenting with what made me feel, and it was like one of those little tiny micro acts that you can do in your day that can energize you, that can calm and soothe and all of these things. So depending on what you needed. And so I have, roller balls and
Yeah. And
things at my
it's
desk.
amazing how much it helps. Sometimes when I've been formulating, because I do create all my formulas. So sometimes when I'm working on a new scent, I'm using my oils and a drop will get on something, a piece of paper or a notepad or tissue, and I'll forget about it. And then I'll move some papers and I'll just get that little scent. And you can really feel your body relax. I
Yeah.
just love it.
I love it too. I love this. I'm more of a citrus girl, a bergamot, like
Yes.
bergamot. I don't even know how you say that, but yeah, there's so many good things out there. I love that this is something that you did with your mom too, and it connected with that, and it's wonderful. We're gonna of course link to the website so people can check out the stuff. So, are you ready, Sunny, for the
Oh, yes.
lightning round? Okay, let me
Yes.
ask you a couple questions from the Just for You Daily Self Care Journal. Um. Oh, this is an interesting question. If it's your last night on Earth, what would your last supper look like? We always
Mm.
play this around the campfire in my family. I don't know if we're kind of like weird, but that's
Well,
something we always.
first of all, I would have a really good wine because I like my wine.
Red or white.
I can go either way, but I'm thinking red.
Okay.
And maybe a really good steak because I don't make that very often. So if one of my favorite restaurants is Smith and Walensky's in the city. They have a number of locations, but I just love the way they cook their steak. I don't know what they do, but I love it. So it would probably be a Smith and Walensky, New York strip with a really good glass of red wine.
Yum. Yum. That sounds great. Any dessert?
Um, mm, Maybe chocolate ice cream, like a really good chocolate ice cream.
Yeah, that sounds lovely. Perfect. Okay, next question. What do you crave in your life that doesn't exist today?
Oh my gosh. Okay, what I really crave is I want to be able to snap my fingers and get to wherever I need to be. I don't want to have to be at the airport 3 hours early. I just want to snap my
I'm gonna
fingers.
teleport. I wish we could
Yes.
I wish
Yeah.
that so much when I was caregiving and for a distance from mom. And even now, like my sister's still in Michigan. I've got a sister in the DC area. Like, yeah, let's just snap and go. My daughter's in Chicago.
Um,
Yeah, we're all too spread out.
yes.
Are there any social media accounts that you follow that just kind of lift you up?
Okay, so I am a sucker. I know you're asking for a
No, I'm
deep,
not. It's whatever comes to mind. It's the
um,
lightning round.
I love cat videos. I don't know what I love cat videos. I love cats, obviously. But
Is
there's
there
some
an account where you can kind of like go and see all the cat videos?
um Beagle Bits, I think it is.
Okay.
Um, and also I just love when they show their little toe beans. There's something really there's something really relaxing about cat toes. I don't know what it is.
Their paws.
Yes.
Aw, that's so
Yes.
sweet. Well, listen, you're not alone. I think a lot of people like cat videos. I know did a whole like little Instagram reel. I'll see if I can find it. It still makes me laugh. With my husband, like sometimes instead of watching funny videos on Instagram, I can just watch my husband watch stuff, and
Oh,
he makes me laugh, like what sitting next to him, and like, what in the world are you watching? So I have this whole video of him like laughing at videos, and his laugh is kind of infectious. And then
um,
there's another video that comes where it looks like a golf ball is coming to his face and he tosses his phone, and that just made us laugh even harder. So I'm just shocked that I got it on video. But he watches Golden Doodle. We have a
oh,
Golden
I
Doodle.
love that too.
Yeah, he watches Golden Doodle, and our doodle's name is Sunny.
Oh,
Sunny Sunshine. There's a lot of Sunny, Chances Sunny the hospice guy, Sunny the Golden Doodle, Sunny Sunshine, we call her. Yeah, and we have a Shih Tzu too, but
oh, nice.
they're fun. They're funny and fun. So I don't think you're alone. Pets are great. Um, okay, let's see here. Well, you sound like a person who tries a lot of new things. So let's give you this question. It says something people say which helps them be happier or healthier that maybe you've never tried is what?
Hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna say aerial yoga.
Interesting. Is that the one where they get on the ribbon? Like
Oh,
the
no, that's silks. And I will just go back a little bit and tell you one thing that I used to do when I lived in Manhattan. It's called static trapeze.
Hmm.
And if I could live my life over and run away and join the circus, that's what I would do. So static trapeze is not flying trapeze across the room. It's like 8 feet off the ground and you do tricks. And so my teacher was Lorelei Ash, and she has something called, oh my gosh, um, I can't remember the name of her company.
That's
Um,
okay.
but
If it
anyway,
comes to you, you can always send it to me later and I'll add it
okay.
to the show notes.
Okay. Gravity Defying Fitness, it's called.
Okay.
And so she taught us how to climb ropes, which I had never done, and to get on a trapeze and to do all kinds of tricks. And I have a really bad fear of heights, except when I'm on a trapeze.
Interesting.
I
I'm a
can drop.
situational height person too, though. I am like certain things I'm like, yeah, no problem. Other things I'm like, this is terrifying. Yeah. But I've
So
never heard of this static
trapeze,
trapeze and using it for
aerial.
fitness, and then
Oh yeah,
aerial yoga. What is that?
aerial yoga. I guess it could be with some of the. It's like they have like almost hammocks that they hang in, and
Okay.
so maybe it is like the ribbon that you were talking about.
I don't
I'm
know.
just talking about the they call them silks or tissues that you can climb up and do all these tricks. I'm not
Interesting.
flexible. I would like to be more flexible and
Yes, it is fun. Like I love working out when you're not even realizing that you're working out and strength training. So I can see that this would be a lot of fun. I'm not aware of anything around me like this in Atlanta. I do hot works. That's kind of the hot yoga, hot Pilates, hot bar. There's no bar, but they call it, there's no bar, but you use the wall. But I love, doing different things. We just got new e-bikes, so I'm having fun enjoying those. And I think it's good to, again, get outside. Staying active has definitely been something that I've embraced after watching my family, my parents, and what was kind of their Achilles heel was their sedentary lifestyle. So that's not happening here.
good.
Yes.
Good.
So I love that. Thank you for sharing and playing the lightning round. Is there anything else, Heather, that you wish that we had touched on as part of this? Any parting words for family caregivers?
I think, just advocate for your family, advocate for yourself, and just try to enjoy every moment because it just goes too quickly.
I love how when you're talking about advocating, Ryan's back there like self-bathing. So it's like we couldn't have timed that any better for the video. How do people stay in touch with you?
They can reach out at Heather at heatherchanceofsunny@gmail.com. They can check out my website, chanceofsunny.com. They can check out Instagram, chanceofsunny_.
Perfect. We're going to link to all of that stuff. So
Okay.
thank you so much for sharing this conversation and walking us through the story and the great things that you have now that you're after caregiving has ends for this Boomerang, the things that you're doing with Chance of Sunny and also with your hospice volunteers. It's really, really good healing stuff there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this.
Hello, podcast listener. If you're caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's or dementia, you don't want to miss All's Authors podcast, Untangling Alzheimer's and Dementia. I'm your host, Mary Ann Shuko, a registered nurse, author, and dementia daughter. In each episode, I interview one of our 300-plus authors about their personal dementia story and why they chose to write about it, sharing intimate details and painfully obtained knowledge to help you on your own journey. We share a variety of stories across all diagnoses and from a range of caregiving experiences. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform and the Whole Care Network. Remember, you are not alone. One can sing a lonely song, but we chose to form a choir and create harmony. Find us at allsauthors.com. See you soon.
Thanks for joining us today on the Happy Healthy Caregiver podcast on the Whole Care Network. As always, show notes that accompany today's episode can be found on my website, happyhealthycaregiver.com. Just look under the podcast menu for today's episode image, and that will take you to the page with the links and information we spoke about today. You'll also find other resources on the website, along with links to purchase the Just For You Daily Self-Care Journal. When you purchase from my website, you'll get a signed copy and for a limited time, free shipping. If you've enjoyed what you heard today, consider subscribing to the show on your podcast platform. It really helps other family caregivers find the podcast, and you'll automatically receive our bi-weekly shows in your podcast listening queue. Maybe while you're subscribing, consider leaving a 5-star rating and review, or just simply talk it up on your social channels. Let's stay connected. I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Happy Healthy Caregiver. And until we meet again, please take care of you.
This is the Whole Care Network. Helping you tell your story one podcast at a time.